Good morning, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Grandpa's sitting here with a nice hot cup of tea, watching the sunrise. Hurricane Debbie has finally left. I'm going out for a nice long bike ride this morning. Although what happens is after a hurricane in Florida, actually most places, when the hurricane leaves, it gets sunny and hot. And today it's going to be 94 here. So I definitely need to get out early. In the wintertime, it's almost always nice enough weather to go ride your bike here in North Florida. So what I do on Thursday is I ride my bike and then I stop at the American Legion Club, have a glass of water and a beer. And I haven't done that in a couple months because it's been pretty hot. But today's going to, the one app that I saw, it said it's going up to 97 here, which means it'll probably go up to like 100 in Jacksonville itself. At least 100, but hey. So today we're going to do Exodus 18, but we're going to take a little detour like we do from time to time. And we're going to look at the Bible. This is the Bible that Shakespeare read. It's called the Geneva Bible, and I'm not going to go into the history of it or anything like that. If that piques your interest, you can go to this website, and it has a bunch of links. Click here for the Geneva Bible, and then it tells about this organization, and you can give them feedback, you can contact them. There's links to other probably research tools. I'm not going to get into these things. And then you have the Bible itself. And last, a daily scripture reading from the Geneva Bible. Now this is going to be in Old English, and we're going to be here in Exodus. So it says that this is copyrighted, no publication allowed, and that if permission is given, you must give me, Steve Zeitcall, full credit and provide these two websites on your website. Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be a problem doing this. I mean, this website here, and I guess this version of the Bible, he might have copyrighted. And I thank you for doing that, Steve, whoever you are. I strongly recommend, if you're interested in this at all, that you use this website. And certainly, if you're going to cite this in a publication of some sort, or on a website, an article, a blog, that you get permission. But I'm not publishing it. And if Steve Zeitcall has a problem, I'll just take it down and re-record it. I don't have a problem doing that. But that's one thing about Bible translations. You should always, if you're going to cite them in a publication, in an article, like a magazine article or a blog or something, always make sure that you give the reference, and if necessary, you get their permission. Now, it'll say in the front of a Bible translation, like, oh, well, you can use this, or you can only use it with permission, and this is our copyright, and all that stuff. So follow that law. Here's the Bible itself, and let's get the whole page here. We see this is in Old English. So it says here that in verse 1, we're going to see Jethro cometh to see Moses, his son-in-law. So Jethro, not Jethro Bodine from the Beverly Hillbillies, but Jethro, the father of Moses' wife, comes to visit Moses out there in the desert. So they must be fairly close to where Jethro lives. And if you remember, Moses fled Egypt because he killed an Egyptian. And he met these women and married, might have married 2 of them, actually. I don't remember. I married at least 1 and lived with them for 40 years. And then in verse 8, Moses telleth of the wonders of Egypt. In 9, Jethro rejoiceth and offereth sacrifice to God. What manner of men, in 21, what manner of men, officers, and judges ought to be. So he's going to give them advice. And in verse 24, Moses obeyeth Jethro's counsel in appointing officers. So at this point in time, Moses is the CEO of the Israelites. And he's taken on way too much. He's not delegating. And that's something that you really struggle with when you're in management, whether to delegate. And delegation's a good thing for many reasons, but one is that it develops the future leaders. So if you make all the decisions and you just tell people, okay, do this, it's not helpful to them. You think it's helpful to you, but it's really not, because they're frustrated. They want to be developed and they want to become you tomorrow. But a lot of leaders feel threatened by that. It's like, oh no, you want to take over from me. Well, most of them don't. Some of them do. But you have to be able to figure that out. So let's jump into this. When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt, then Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her away, and her 2 sons. Oh, I'm sorry, it was one wife, but there were 2 sons. I'm an old man, kids, so sometimes I forget. Whereof the one was called Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in a strange land. So Gershom must mean alien in Hebrew. And the name of the other was Eleazar, for the God of my father said he was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. So El always means God, just like in Arabic, Al, and I think sometimes El, but usually Al means God. So Eleazar means God is my help. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his 2 sons and his wife unto Moses into the wilderness, where he camped by the mount of God. So I'm assuming that's Mount Sinai. And he said to Moses, I, thy father-in-law Jethro, am come to thee, and thy wife and her 2 sons with her. So it's like, take her back. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and did obeisance and kissed him, and each asked other of his welfare, and they came into the tent. So obeisance is like paid respect to him. And this is a guy who's got millions of people that he's leading through the wilderness. But he has enough respect for his father-in-law because of his station in life. He's the father of his wife. So he pays respect to him. Then Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done unto Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail, that's hard work, that had come unto them by the way, and how the Lord delivered them. And travail, I think in this sense here, is more than work. Like travail is based on the French word travail, for work. But this is like struggles. And Jethro rejoiced at all the goodness which the Lord had shewed to Israel. That's showed. And because he had delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Therefore Jethro said, Blessed be the Lord, who hath delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who hath also delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all the gods, for as they have dealt proudly with them, so are they recompensed. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took burnt offerings and sacrifices to offer unto God. And Aaron and all the elders of Israel came to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. So they have the council of so Aaron is the head priest, and then you have the heads of all the tribes, the 12 tribes. And they all ate before God. Now on the morrow, so that means the next day, when Moses sat to judge the people stood about Moses from morning unto even. So that's from morning to night, evening. So we see these words here that are parts of words that we use now. So we have tomorrow is tomorrow. So that's on the morrow. This is going back to the more basic part of the English language. And then we have from morning unto even. We call it evening. We have an ing at the end of that. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this that thou hast doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand about thee from morning unto even? So he's judging them. Moses is judging the people for God, and he's going to explain it. And Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to seek God. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and declare the ordinances of God and his laws. So this is the civil law. This is not where, I want to talk to God, I have prayers or something like that. It's like this guy did something, he took my stuff. And the other guy's going to go, well, no, this guy, I didn't really take his stuff because this guy owed me money. So that's why I did take his stuff. And they wouldn't just judge it, they'd go before God. And it's not like God sitting there going like, okay, here's what to do. It's through Moses. But that's what he's doing all day long. He's got millions of people there. So when stuff comes up, he becomes the civil court. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and declare the ordinances of God and his laws. So basically, he's being a civil court judge. But Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing which thou doest is not well. Thou both weariest thyself greatly. So, you got to be tired at the end of the day. And this people that is with thee, for the thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to do it thyself alone. Hear now my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, and report thou the causes unto God. So, he's saying that you're the mouthpiece for God, to God, and from God. That doesn't change. And admonish them of the ordinances and of the laws, and shew them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. So now he wants them to be a teacher. He's like, well, instead of you doing this, okay, teach the law to the people. Moreover, provide thou among all the people men of courage, fearing God, men dealing truly, hating covetousness, and that's envy. Like if you covet your neighbor's belongings, then you might steal them. So you want them, you desire them deeply. And appoint such over them to be rulers over thousands, rulers over hundreds, rulers over fifties, and rulers over tens. So for every 10 people, there's a manager. And then for every 50 people, there's whatever you want to call them, the branch chief. Then for every 100 people, there's the area director. And then thousands, executive director. So in a modern corporate world, it's set up like this. And this is kind of where that comes from. Like, why do all the work yourself? There's millions of people here. They're waiting in line all day. They're mad just because of the process. And let them judge the people at all seasons, but every great matter let them bring unto thee, and let them judge all small cases. So shall it be easier for thee when they shall bear the burden with thee. So Moses is like the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court hears very few cases compared to the probably millions of cases that are heard from the lowest court level, municipal court levels in small jurisdictions, through the state courts and the U.S. district courts and circuit courts and all that kind of stuff. Every once in a while, something's important enough that it goes to the Supreme Court, and that's the way that it's going to be. As you know, when you have a problem, you go to your manager, you go to the leader of the 10 people, and if that can't be solved, then it goes to the leader of the 50 people, and on up, and eventually, if it's important enough, it gets to the CEO, to the Supreme Court, to Moses, who is the mouthpiece of God. Because for the most part, you can look at what the law says, and they're going to have the actual written down law soon, but they knew what they were supposed to do and what they weren't supposed to do. You know, there was no secret. They're going to get the 10 Commandments very soon. And then they'll be able to go, oh, well, no, thou shalt not covet. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not murder. But they already knew those things. So, you know, then God, he's got, or Moses has God's ear. Moses can go to God and say, I can't figure this one out. And so God's like the Constitution of the United States. You know, the Supreme Court interprets the Constitution, but it can't change the Constitution. It only goes to the Constitution and says, okay, what do you say, Constitution? And then they have to make a ruling based on that. Now, they often disagree. They almost always disagree. There's like a 6-3 decision, you know, sometimes a 5-4. Very seldom there's a 9-0 decision. If thou do this thing, and God so command thee, both thou shalt be able to endure, and all these people shall also go quietly to their place. So instead of this large gathering every day, you're going to have order. So Moses obeyed the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. And Moses chose men of courage out of all Israel and made them heads over the people, rulers over thousands, rulers over hundreds, rulers over 50s, and rulers over 10s. And they judged the people at all seasons, but they brought the hard causes unto Moses, for they judged all small matters themselves. Afterward, Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went into his country. So Jethro went on back home. So next, they're going to come to Sinai, to Mount Sinai. And they're going to promise to obey God. And then we're going to see what happens right soon after that. It's very interesting. Anyway, peace out.